This is a memorable moment in Virginia history. Items on the block include President Jefferson's entire crop, stock, historical paintings, and 130 slaves. Ladies and gentlemen, the first property to be bid on is a young buck, just coming into his prime, well-formed, well-tempered, a real prize. Bidding will begin at $250. What am I bid, ladies and gentlemen? What am I bid? $260 from the gentleman from North Carolina, $280 from the gentleman from Roanoke.
Lock, stock, and barrel. Even the grand Monticello will be sold. The mansion he had poured his soul and money into. Author of the Declaration of Independence, the nation's first Secretary of State, the second Vice President, the third President. Who would have thought that his ringing declaration that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, harbored the deepest contradiction in his character. More than 6 months have passed since Master Jefferson died. I, old woman worth $50, could have gone to Ohio with my sons. Instead, I climbed to his grave and picked weeds, my soul not at ease. My grandmother, a slave born in Africa, conceived my mother with a Mr. Hemmings, captain of an English whaling ship. When my mother's owner's wife died, he took my mother in as his concubine. Thomas Jefferson married his daughter Martha. When my owner, father, died, Martha Jefferson inherited his plantation and the slaves. After Master Jefferson had been appointed American minister to France, I went to Paris as his younger daughter's servant. My older brother Jim had been in France as Master Tom's valet and cook. Master Tom paid Jim and me a small monthly salary because slavery was illegal in France. With the money, Jim hired the master's daughter's French tutor to teach him and me the language. Jim taught me the culture and the history in the evening, told me that knowledge was everything. Master Tom's French butler called my brother Monsieur Jim and me Mademoiselle Sally. When we took a walk, the people nodded at us with a smile. And Master Tom brought me new French dresses whenever he bought his daughter's dresses. 1 year after I had arrived, Master Tom stopped courting Lady Maria Cosway, a pretty, merry English painter. One evening, I delivered to his chamber a book he had left in the salon. He peered into my eyes with a strange intensity. His cheeks were flushed and his sensuous lips parted. With the long, fumbling hands, he disrobed me and caressed my breasts. I was so scared and tickled I almost swallowed my tongue when he penetrated me. I clung onto him and whispered, I love you, I love you. I was 15. Master Tom was a kind man. He never whipped his slaves, never sold them off in anger. All on horseback with flowing red hair, one of the richest planters in Virginia, a man who had loved his deceased wife with heart and soul. In bed, he called me my sweet dainty Venus, my mahogany goddess. About a year later, Master Tom told us that we had to return to Virginia. Jim didn't want to go back and become a slave. Master Tom promised him that he would continue to pay him his monthly salary, and when he taught another slave to cook, that he would give him his freedom. Master Tom told me that I could remain in France if I wished. If returned, I would be a slave. I was pregnant with his baby. Master Tom promised me that he would give my children freedom when they reached 21, and that I would be kept safe in the house. When Master Tom was appointed Secretary of State, Jim went to Washington as his chef. Once he trained our brother Peter to cook, he was given the manumission deed. Jim's eyes were full of light, full of plans. He went to Philadelphia, took a trip to Paris, drifted around, took on odd jobs. He began to drink. Master Tom offered him a job. He declined it. In 1801, my brilliant, loving brother killed himself. What is freedom if there are no opportunities to exercise your intelligence? If everybody looks at you with, I bore Master Tom 6 children. In his first term as president, a vengeful Virginia reporter exposed me as his concubine and the children as his. Master Tom neither acknowledged nor denied the accusations. Didn't send me off to erase the trap. My Harriet was born in Master Tom's first term as president. Madison and Easton were conceived and born in the second term. When his 2 daughters by Mrs. Martha married, he gave them each a 1,000-acre plantation and 25 slaves. When my 2 babies died, my brothers dug holes in the weedy slave lot and buried them. He never looked my children in the eyes, gave them no education. When my boys turned 14, they were let out to learn a trade: carpentry, furniture making, blacksmithing. A woman dreams that one day she'd be recognized as the great man's companion and his children's mother. If not, how can it find pleasure in my body for 38 years and still believe that people like me were inferior to his race and that they needed to be shipped off to Haiti or Africa? Who grew his tobacco, cooked his victuals? Perhaps a man born into the plantation life cannot escape the iron rules that govern it, cannot abandon the political calculus. The austere look of his mansion hid the glistening furnishings inside. My children are scattered and free, their skin as rich as the grains of harvested wheat. Would their father's intelligence and their mother's will, perhaps they inherit the earth? Still, I sit next to your grave and think of the moonlit nights in your embrace. One spring day in Paris, in the royal gardens, you whispered to me that I was your ever-shining camellia. Have you been happy with me? Have you thought of your children's happiness? I should have clung onto your ankles until you blessed the children. Beverly, Harriet, come to your father. Madison, Easton, receive your daddy's blessing. Come.